On the agenda tonight, we're going to be having a listen to and having a look at Dean Martin's voice as he sings Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So I'm striking while the iron is hot, considering that we've just looked at Frank Sinatra. I've had a lot of requests to take a look at Dean Martin, and it just so happens that we do have the performance of Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. And I've isolated the vocal, so we're going to be having a look at Dean Martin's voice, but also referring back to Frank Sinatra's voice, so we can get a little bit of a comparison between the two. And it's not going to be a video saying this is better, this is worse. It's all subjective as to what you prefer, but we can at least see the voices on screen to compare not only technique but pitch and how that pitch is applied with stylizations. Something to mention before we get started is that Frank Sinatra sang this a semitone higher than Dean did. So I've applied a pitch shifting plugin so that we can take Frank's voice down to Dean's, because it just helps with the comparison, hearing it in the same key, so that you can directly relate one singer's voice to the next. But we'll jump straight into it and we'll listen to Dean just to start with to get a vibe of his singing, but also see his waveforms up on screen. Let's get into it.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
So I'm just going to jump in there. I will be jumping into this quite a lot because with Dean's delivery, he sounds so relaxed, and the reason for this is we get a really good example here. Right at the end of the phrase, he has even more sliding glissando that I mentioned in that previous video. That's the fancy word for it musically, glissando, the sliding and moving from one note to the next in one continuous breath, but in one continuous note, just sliding up to a note, sliding down. So when we had a look at Frank's voice, he did this, but not to this extent. Let me just take it back, because at the end of that phrase from Dean,
let it snow, let it snow, let it snow,
he's taking that note all the way down. So it's that approach to the end note that isn't specific. So when he goes, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, that's actually too accurate. It's more like, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Like that. So there's no real note that you pick up at the end. We'll take it back, so hopefully it makes a little bit more sense.
Snow, let it snow, let it snow.
It's like snow. The note is kind of in there, but it's not specific. So let's take it back and now have a listen to Frank's voice and hear how specific he is with his notes. He's a lot more, not accurate. He actually is more accurate, technically speaking, when hitting these pitches, 440 hertz, equal temperament. But he spends more time on the notes and emphasizing the fact that he's hitting a particular note. He doesn't have a throwaway that's as seemingly random as Dean's. But let's have a listen.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
So listen to the difference. Even there at the end when we had let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. He's going up to a definite pitch that he's hitting. He's not going let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. He's not doing that at the end. So already we see the differences and we can hear the differences between the voices. We'll have a listen to those back to back again. And you might be able to notice how Dean, when he delivers it, is seemingly more relaxed. But let's have a listen to Frank first.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
So let's now have a listen to Dean. I'll take it back.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Because of all of these notes that aren't really dead on and specific and hitting notes all the time, and the glissando between the notes, he sounds more relaxed. I know, or at least it sounds like, Dean's tempo is slower as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dean naturally delivered his vocal lines and phrases just after the beat, because he doesn't sound like he's really excited to deliver it. He's just really relaxed. The other thing that is going to make it sound more relaxed pitch-wise is the fact that he is flat pretty much most of the time, which means that he's not hitting the note. When I say flat, I'm not saying it in the sense of it sounds bad. He's flat in the sense of being underneath the note, but not to the point where he sounds off key. I think a lot of people see being flat as an insult or something that you say about somebody who can't sing, but that's not the case. And here you can see from Dean, we are flat here. We are pretty much flat. We did just touch up to that G sharp 3 at the beginning of the song, but then he's flat again, slightly flat, just touched it, flat, 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 flat. And here, this might have been really flat. Let me just take it back a little bit.
Outside is frightful, but the fire is...
Yeah, but the fire. Actually, this was, believe it or not, the same note. But the fire. It should have been but the fire. But it's gone but the fire. He's not quite gone up as high that second time round, which is going to make it sound relaxed. And you can see then he even came up slightly flat. Listen to that in slow motion.
But the fire is so delightful.
And when you listen to it in slow motion, you really get a deeper appreciation of how being flat makes it sound relaxed. It's going to sound a lot more relaxed when you're slowing it down, but it's because he's not hitting the notes that it sounds that way. And when I say he's not hitting the notes, he's just flat of them. So it's more laid back. He's flat of the note. If he was sharp of the note all the time, it would sound totally different. Then it would sound a little bit more excitable because you're going too high. You're too far past the note. Whereas not quite getting up to the note is like you're not quite bothered about hitting the note. It's close-ish, but it doesn't matter. And that's, in a nutshell, what this kind of singing really does make you feel when you're listening to it. It's easy to listen to. It's relaxed. It's the case of not being flat all the time. He is hitting notes now and again, and this is why auto-tune is the total opposite of music from back in these days. This kind of era was all about the feeling, the emotion, and not looking at the notes and where they're landing. So when you approach it looking at the notes and getting them all on the lines in equal temperament, it sounds mechanical because you don't get the opportunity to feel what the vocalist is feeling themselves when they deliver the song, because when you're concentrating on the feeling and not the note, then obviously you're going to get the feeling first and the note is secondary. At the moment, the whole industry is focusing on the note and then any feeling afterwards, if there is indeed any feeling that can be achieved with hitting notes dead on equal temperament all the time. So let's have a quick jump back to Frank and then we'll go back to Dean after.
Doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought some corn for Pop. Lights are turned down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
And there we have it. Let's get back to Dean and take it back, hopefully to the same kind of place.
Man, it doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought me some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow.
Great example there of just being slightly flat, but bringing it back to the C sharp 3 right at the end. When you're imagining Dean singing this, it's almost like he's reclined on a sofa delivering it. That's what it sounds like vocally because of all of these notes where we are flat. And I want to take it back to a phrase that was so flat that it was great because of how flat it was, but that's why it sounds relaxed.
The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow.
Here, when he sings, the lights are turned way down low, that low is more like low. He's so, we can actually see it, obviously, with the waveforms, that he's so far flat of where he's supposed to be, right in between notes, but it just sounds cool, it sounds relaxed the way he delivers it. I might take it to that point.
The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow.
And there, right at the end, he brings it back on pitch. But here, again, we're starting almost below, halfway between the notes. So he's way off that G sharp 3 where he should be, but then he just ascends with that note just to bring it closer. And it might have just been the case that, I mean, he's, again, glissando sliding up into the note, but it might have been the fact that he was a little bit too far off the note, so decided just to edit it at the end. Let's just listen to a little bit more of Dean.
When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm.
Okay, I'm just going to take that back because we start to get an appreciation here of how accurate Dean was when he wanted to be. Now and again, he's going to be hitting these notes dead on, as we can see here, but it's thrown in there with that relaxed delivery of not always being dead on. Something that I mentioned about Frank Sinatra is how accurate he was consistently. So by being a little bit more regimented with the notes, it's going to come across that way. That vocally and the emotion that you feel is a bit more regimented than Dean's looseness that he had when he sang. He's very much loose. These waveforms show it. I would say that Dean did even more sliding and was a little bit more freeform with his delivery. He wasn't regimented. He didn't mind if he didn't quite get up to the note because that was his relaxed style of delivery. But let me just let this play on a little bit.
When we finally kiss goodnight.
Great example there when he said, when we finally. He's quite regimented there, but as we then continue.
How I'll hate going out in the storm.
And again, glissando there, storm.
But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm.
And there, this, we have all the way home I'll be warm. So, this first part and this last part are the same note. But the first time he's gone, Those are the notes, the difference between the notes. But you can see the first time he was supposed to hit that G sharp 3, he was so flat of it, he's actually quite close to the G3, which he then hits the next time, and then when he needs to go up to the G sharp 3 again, he's now a little bit more accurate, but still descends massively. So, there, I mean, with the waveforms, I always say they never lie. You can see here the G sharp 3 previously, he was bang on. So it's this combination of being bang on pitch. So it's close enough for it to sound great and musical and in key, but it's loose enough to sound relaxed because he's not constantly nailing these notes all the time. And let me just point something out really quickly at the end of that vocal phrase.
All the way home I'll be warm.
There, when he goes, all the way home I'll be warm. That, whoa, he's hitting the octave below and he's kind of going, It's like a bit of a hum. All the way home I'll be warm. But he does it really quickly. We can see that here the that's going to be going all the way down to, we start the G sharp 3, but look all the way down here, and when the line cuts off, it's almost at the G sharp 2. So he's got a whole octave that he's just put in there vocally as a throwaway line. It's more of an emotion, a little bit of a laugh, but again, really accurate with his voice to just let it slip down an octave. And you rarely hear that unless you're looking, and this is the thing, that you probably do hear it, but you don't spot it because you listen to the voice and feel the emotion of the voice. You're not listening to the notes that are being hit. But when we see the waveforms, we can see that we've got that octave decrease in pitch that you wouldn't really notice because you're hearing the expression. We're just going to have a final listen to Dean's voice and then listen to Frank's immediately after, because I think by listening to Dean's voice, you start to get into the mood of his voice, and as soon as then you hear Frank's voice, you can hear or feel the difference in the mood, and that's just what the delivery of the vocal is achieving. It's giving you a feeling. It's not, I know that we're looking at waveforms here, but it's not giving you a sense of pitch. It's giving you that sense of relaxed versus regimented. Let's have a listen.
All the way home I'll be warm, and the fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow and snow.
So that was Dean. Now let's have a little listen to Frank. I'll take it back.
The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. As long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
And there we have it. So I know that the tempo's quicker in Frank's version, but not only can you see how much more he's spending on notes here, you know, dead on, dead on, dead on, you can hear it. Dead on again, and I mean a little bit descending here. This is the thing, this isn't auto-tune obviously, so we're never going to be dead on the lines, but I did mention in that previous video about Frank's voice being so accurate at the end of these slides. But then it starts to sound regimented when you compare it with somebody who's a little bit more freeform, a bit more relaxed with hitting the notes. And again, here, dead on, dead on, dead on, dead on. He's constantly hitting these notes, Frank, where as soon as we look at the waveforms of Dean's vocal, we have descending, flat, flat, pretty much on, flat, flat, pretty much on, a little bit flat, 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 and flat again. If you were to write out the number of times Frank hits notes dead on, tuning wise, in 440 hertz, and compare that with the number that Dean hits dead on, those are going to be vastly different. And you would be able to tell that by listening to it and not even seeing it, because of the way, now that you know that when Dean is hitting these notes flat, it's making you feel relaxed. You now know that's why you feel relaxed. And you would feel more relaxed if Frank started hitting the notes a little bit below the line, a little bit flat, because that's just the nature of the way it sounds and the emotion that it elicits within you from that particular delivery. Really interesting stuff, or at least I find it interesting looking at such well-known singers from back in the day, but how they differ with the vocal waveforms, and you can start to dig into why you feel something different when you listen to one singer and why you might not feel that with another singer. But anyway, thank you guys so much for all of the requests to take a look at Dean Martin after we had a look at Frank Sinatra. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Keep those suggestions coming in the comments section below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!